The Smarter Money Life podcast is sponsored by Forum Credit Union, a member-owned financial cooperative serving members since 1941. Forum, your trusted financial partner, helping members live their financial dreams every day. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Smarter Money Life. I'm Andy Mattingly.
And I'm Nicole Royal.
So, having a good couple of weeks?
So far, so good. We're coming to the end of the school year, which is a busy time of year.
But then it's going to be just all peaches and everything all summer long, or will it be all chaos all summer long?
Well, we hired a nanny for the summer, so the kids will be able to be home, which will be fun. So we'll see how it goes.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Well, busy summer for us too, but all of my kids are adults, so I don't have to worry about hiring a nanny.
Good for you.
Okay, Nicole, maybe we should get on. What's our topic today?
One that comes up a lot, the top financial mistakes people make, and more importantly, how to avoid or overcome them.
And we're going to kind of focus on this topic because we hear people every week from members, I know you do, or listeners, friends, family. It comes up a lot.
We get questions like, why does it feel like I'm doing everything right, but still not getting ahead?
So today we're breaking down the most common financial mistakes and what to do instead. So let's start with that, because this is usually where money stress begins. And one of the most common mistakes is paying only the minimum payment on credit cards.
We hear this a lot. If I'm making the minimum payment on time, isn't that enough? And the short answer is it keeps you current, but it keeps you stuck. Minimum payments stretches debt out for years and costs you a lot more in interest. Here's just an example of that. If you have a $15,000 balance on a credit card at 20% and you're making the minimum payment only, you're going to pay on that credit card for 30 years. If you paid $300 on that same balance at that same interest rate, you would have it paid off in 9 years. So there's a big difference there in making that minimum only payment.
That's a whole lot of interest. And I know some financial institutions like that, but not here at Forum. We'd like for you to pay it off even faster than 9 years.
Right. Yes.
Another one we hear is about long car loans, 72 or 84 months. And a listener recently asked, the payment fits my budget, so what's the problem?
Really, the issue is depreciation. That car is losing value faster than the loan balance drops. This leaves you upside down for years, especially if you want to trade that car in early. Andy, what are ways people can avoid the longer term and still find a car that fits their payment needs?
Yeah, and we just recently read an article about how many cars or how many people are upside down on their trades and just rolling that forward and going out even more and more on months. And so one thing to think about is leasing. A lot of people used to think that wasn't for them, but almost any car you can lease. That's a good way to get kind of get the payment in, looking to try to save with money down. And if you're a person who likes to always buy new cars, maybe you need to buy a couple of used ones, a little bit older, and keep the car a little bit longer so you can put some money in savings, because you really need to keep those terms 60 months, 72 months if you can.
Yeah, that's good points. All right, moving on. The next financial mistake to avoid, co-signing loans. We hear this from our members. It's just to help my kid get started. What's the risk? The risk is that missed payment affects your credit too.
And remember, helping someone doesn't mean you have to risk your financial future. It's important to have clear expectations when co-signing and understanding you might treat different family members differently. Now, Nicole, when your kids get older, are you going to have different ideas for each of your kids or boundaries, or will you treat them both the same?
Well, that's hard to say because they are so young, but this did make me think when I was in college, I needed a car and I needed a cosigner for a loan. And I went to my grandfather and asked him, and he actually let me borrow the money from him and set up a payment plan for me to get me in that habit of making payments. But he was very firm in that he was not co-signing a loan for anyone. So I think that that's a fair thing to say, you're not going to co-sign.
Yeah, I agree. And I think some of the other issues are that it might not just be family members that ask you. It could be friends or distant relatives, people that are not in your household. And it can get really unpleasant because if you're co-signing for a car and the car gets picked up and then there's a deficiency judgment put on it, that shows up on your credit report, and you're not going to get it off unless you pay for it. And if you don't have any way to get them. So what your grandfather did was actually a good way, because he knew if you weren't going to pay, he was going to take the car and he was going to be okay. I think that's what you really have to think about is how much control do you have over what the person is. And if it's your kids, co-signing might be an easier thing to do because they're still living in your household and you can help them do it. But then, when it gets to be other people, you have to be very careful with that.
Another major mistake is not having an emergency fund, or having one but dipping into it for non-emergencies. The listener question we get is, isn't every unexpected expense an emergency? And we always say, not quite.
So to help make this point, Nicole and I are going to share whether we think different events are emergencies or expenses that need to be planned for in advance or avoided. Now, you can answer the questions along with us. I'm going to read a thing, and then Nicole's going to say whether she thinks it's an emergency or not, and then I will say whether it is or not. And we'll just see how it matches up. And listeners, you can decide if it matches up with you. So, regular car maintenance like oil changes, emergency or not?
Not.
I agree, not. Unexpected car repair such as fixing a flat?
Not.
Not an emergency. I kind of agree with that too, because I think you should have funds to cover that. Holiday travel?
Not.
Not unless you're trying to get away from the family, then it could be an emergency.
Maybe it's an emergency.
Teasing only. Right. Teasing only. Paying for medical expenses from an accident?
Yes, an emergency.
I agree. Braces for children?
Not.
I agree. New clothes for summer vacation?
Not.
I had to just think about for the listeners, yes. She wanted to say yes, but I agree not. Regular heating and cooling maintenance repair? No. I agree. Replacing kids' broken school laptop?
An emergency.
I would agree. Attending a destination wedding of a friend?
Oh, not.
Even your really, really best friend in the whole world?
Look, we didn't go to my brother's destination wedding.
So. Okay, fair enough. I kind of agree not. Paying for emergency services for your pet?
Emergency.
Yes, I agree. Going to the last concert of your favorite artist of all time ever?
Not. But I do, for the record, I do think that, I think there's also room to say, am I only going to do this one time? And to pull, you know what I mean?
Yes, yeah. Exactly. Attending your team's championship game out of town, or if you're lucky enough it's in town, but you still have to buy tickets, right, Nicole?
Michigan ends up in the national championship game and it's here. Do you go?
Is that an emergency?
Not.
Okay. Replacing a broken refrigerator?
Emergency.
Agree. Updating your phone to the latest model?
Not.
Agree. Prescription sunglasses?
Not.
Agree. Graduation party expenses?
Not.
Agree. Now, there are some things, and you brought up some of this, that you might stretch it into an emergency if you need it. But I think more importantly is to talk about having fun money savings too. Yep. Or sinking funds. Some of these things you're going to have to do, so you should start putting funds back for it. You just don't know when it's going to be. But, we've talked a lot on here. Make sure you're putting money back for fun. And you don't have to say, well, it's for vacation, just fun. So if something comes up, you can do that, like the artist or something.
Right. And because there's so much importance in building an emergency fund, but there also is importance in building fund money savings as well, so that you don't have to dip into your emergency. Yep.
Agree.
Yep.
Agree.
All right. Another common question is about cash sitting and checking. People ask, isn't it safer to keep everything where I can see it? It feels safer, but idle cash quietly loses value. A simple shift to high-yield savings account can make a noticeable difference over time. Andy, how much do you suggest people keep in their checking account?
Well, I think, it kind of depends. If you have a checking account that does not pay interest, then just keep about a half a month of expenses extra. So you have a little cushion so you don't get the overdraft fees. But if you have an account like the Forum 1 account that pays interest, keep more in it up to that limit where you're going to earn. But if there are other options, like a high yield, say a money market account or something like that, don't put too much in there. And it can really make a difference. I was having the discussion with my daughter. She had the one checking and I kept saying, why do you keep money in the savings account? Well, I don't want to make sure I don't use it. And I'm like, well, just put it in your account and pretend like it's not there. Yeah. And the first month that she earned interest in her checking account, she was like, I just made $27 and I did nothing. And I'm like, yes, exactly. So it just depends upon what kind of account, but don't get too carried away with putting too much money in your checking account.
This next mistake sneaks up on a lot of people: lifestyle creep. We hear from our members, I got a raise, so I should be able to enjoy it, right? And you absolutely should. But the problem is when spending rises just as fast as income, you are not actually getting ahead financially. You have to avoid letting raises turn into a bigger car payment or upgraded subscriptions or higher monthly obligations.
And there are so many other ways to make productive use of your raises that can actually impact your financial life. You can spend some of your raise, just not all of it. I mean, research shows that if you're not intentional with it, most people without a plan within 6 to 9 months will raise all of their spending to what their income is. And so they've not changed their financial life at all, even if it's a large increase. Nicole, what are some of the ways you think would be better uses of a raise?
I think there are two really important things to think about if you get a raise. And one is look at your retirement contributions. Are you maximizing the benefits of your employer? Are you getting that 100% match? If not, increase that retirement savings. Make sure you're getting the match from your employer. The second thing is evaluate your debt. If you are carrying credit card balance or you're carrying an auto loan, whatever kind of debt you're carrying, make some extra large payments towards that debt and pay that debt down.
I think those are good things. Another frequent issue, subscriptions. What we usually get from most people is this thinking: they're only a few dollars each. Do they really matter? Individually, probably not. But together, they add up fast. And that's where you really need to do a quarterly audit to see not only what all the subscriptions you have, but are you actually using them? And you also have to think about rotating them. Just because the next season of The Diplomat is coming out in September doesn't mean that you need to keep that subscription service all of that time if you're not watching anything else on it. I mean, you do want to watch some things, but you can rotate those. And the good thing is, maybe you wait until a show is out and you have 4 or 5 on one and you binge all of those. And then the next quarter you move on to something else. So I think it's really important to do that. And sometimes it's okay to have the ad version of something if they're not too bad, if there's only a couple of things that you're watching. So it's really important to do that. How do you handle subscriptions?
So we are big sports fans, but really we watch sports from August to April. So football, basketball, and once basketball's over, there isn't really a lot on that we're watching sports-wise. So we always cancel our subscriptions that are related to sports during the summer months. We also use this to kind of curb how much TV our kids are wanting to watch. So they get one subscription at a time. So if whatever shows they're watching are on Disney, we have a Disney subscription. If, the other one, well, I want Netflix, but they can't have multiple subscriptions,
I think that's a really good way to handle it. And it teaches them to intentionally, when they get older and they're paying for them, once they ever get off of just using yours,
yes,
to get their own subscriptions. I really like that. A final big mistake we want to talk about is not having a simple spending plan. We hear this all the time. I tried budgeting. It didn't work for me. It's not for me. I can't make it work. And it's usually because people just make it too complicated. If you're not into spreadsheet, budgeting apps that require you to download data from various sources, or just not sure where to allocate your funds, you might think you can't find a budget that works for you. However, that might not be the case.
Sometimes it's better to just focus on one issue. It may be that your real issue is your discretionary spending, what you spend on buying non-essential items like eating out, entertainment, clothes, or your impulse purchases. That's why if you focus on a spending plan versus a full-fledged budget, you are likely to have more success. How does a spending plan work? Instead of tracking all your expenses, you give yourself a budget for the non-essential expenses and put that money in a separate account or use a separate card. As soon as you have spent those funds or reached your limit, you stop spending. This is probably the least complicated budget, and yet it is likely to solve issues for a majority of our listeners.
And one of the reasons why I like this is, your rent typically doesn't change.
Yeah.
Even if your utilities, your mobile phone, the subscriptions we talk about, those don't change.
Yep.
So you kind of know what they are. Now, an important reminder, you do have to stop spending when you reach your limit or your funds are gone. And don't use your emergency fund or other savings to supplement additional expenses. Now, Nicole and I have learned that the real key to a successful budget is using one that fixes your greatest problem. Then you move on to a more complicated budget or some other method to fix your next problem, such as not saving enough money, which might require a more detailed budget so you can identify your true issues and free up money to actually save.
Yeah, you don't have to fix everything all at once. Pick one mistake, make one smart change, and then build momentum. Andy, do you have a favorite budget that you would suggest as a more complicated budget for those ready to take the next step?
It's a very popular one, but I really kind of like it. And I think it works the best for people who want to move forward to that better financial future. And it's the 50-30-20 budget. And this is how it works. So first of all, we're always talking about net income. So think about what is deposited into your account. 50% of your net income goes to needs. So these are things that keep your life running: housing, utilities, groceries, insurance, transportation, and minimum debt payments. So that's 50% of your money. 30% goes to your wants. This is your lifestyle and discretionary spending. And 30%, we're taking a pretty good chunk to do that. Things that add enjoyment but aren't essential. Dining out, entertainment, subscriptions, travel, vacations, all of those things. We're saving for those, we're paying for those. And then finally, 20% of net income goes to savings and debt down payment. This is where you build momentum and security. So you have your emergency fund savings, you have retirement contributions, and then extra payments towards debt, and then also these sinking funds that we've talked about for future expenses. So 20%, the more that you don't have debt, the more you can build into all these other savings things.
I really like this. I like that it's simple. There's no complicated tracking. It focuses on balance, not restriction. It helps you quickly spot the real problems. It's flexible. You can adjust the percentages as life changes.
That's a really good point, Nicole, your last one there. Adjusting the percentage to help accelerate pay downs or increase savings is much easier with this type of budget. It can truly be focused on your lifestyle and current financial situation.
Thanks for joining us today. If you want more tips or resources, visit forumcu.com.
And don't forget to tune in next time for more ways to make your money work smarter for you.
Thank you for joining us today. Our hope is that we can help you live your best financial life. For more insights, be sure to subscribe to the Smarter Money Life YouTube channel and also catch the Smarter Money Minute segment every Thursday on Fox 59's Indie Now Lifestyle Show. Remember, reaching your financial dreams is a journey, and every step you take brings you closer to making your dreams a reality.